God said, "Open your eyes." But how often do we really see? Not the things we want to see, not the comfortable lies, not the shiny illusions we tell ourselves, but the truth hiding in plain sight. It's a trap out there. Every smile, every promise, every easy answer, it's designed to fool you, to make you step where you shouldn't, to make you think safety is real. Awareness, such a simple word, isn't it? Yet, it's the most dangerous thing for those who wander blindly through life. People think they are awake, they think they see, they think they understand the world around them, but most of them are asleep, eyes wide open, faces forward, nodding politely at the chaos, pretending they understand the rules of the game. Awareness is more than just seeing. It's noticing the cracks in the walls, the whispers in the shadows, the subtle movements that hint at danger. It's the difference between stepping into a trap with a smile and stepping around it with a smirk. People go through life thinking ignorance is bliss. They tell themselves that looking too closely, questioning too much, noticing the patterns is exhausting, inconvenient. But ignorance is a luxury. Awareness is a weapon. Awareness is the flashlight in a room full of hidden blades, the key that unlocks the cage before it shuts, the voice that whispers, "There's more here than you realize." Most people don't want it. They fear it. Because awareness isn't comforting. It's sharp. It cuts through illusions. It exposes lies. It reveals the threads holding up the stage of their lives. And once you see the threads, you can't unsee them. It's ironic, isn't it? People think they are clever, thinking that if they ignore danger, it will ignore them back. They trust smiles, they trust words, they trust the familiar. But traps don't ask for permission. Traps don't wait for your comfort. Traps don't care if you feel ready. They are patient, cunning, and they thrive on the blindness of those who think they know. Awareness is the first defense. It's the first rebellion against the quiet, hidden snares placed along every path you take. Without it, you are prey, wandering through life, thinking you're free, thinking you're safe, thinking the world isn't laughing at your naivety. Awareness is more than noticing the obvious. It's noticing the tiny inconsistencies, the unnatural pauses, the glances that linger a little too long. It's hearing the tone behind the words, seeing the intention behind the smile. It's the ability to sense the trap before it closes, to feel the pull of the hidden strings, to recognize when the world is asking you to step exactly where you shouldn't. And most people don't have it. Most people are walking blindfolded into cages they will never escape from. But awareness changes the game. It gives you a chance, not a guarantee, not a promise, but a chance. And the funny part is, awareness can be uncomfortable. It forces you to question everything. Who is friend? Who is foe? Which path leads to safety? Which to ruin? The moment you start noticing, the illusions begin to crumble. The lies you've been feeding yourself about control, about trust, about normalcy, start falling away. You realize the world isn't kind. The world isn't fair. And yet, in that realization, there is power. Power to see the traps before they snap. Power to move with intention. Power to make decisions while everyone else is stumbling blindly. People fear awareness because it makes them responsible. If you see the trap, you can't pretend it doesn't exist. If you understand the danger, you can't blame luck when it strikes. Awareness forces action. It forces decisions. It forces courage. And the traps hate courage. The traps thrive on hesitation, on ignorance, on the sweet comfort of people walking blindly into their jaws. Awareness is the rebellion. Awareness is the first spark of chaos in a world designed to trap you. The path to escaping traps is littered with those who weren't aware. Their stories are silent warnings, their missteps invisible lessons. They trusted what looked safe, what felt normal, what seemed inevitable, and yet the trap closed. Awareness isn't just seeing it coming, it's feeling it, predicting it, recognizing it before it becomes inevitable. It's understanding the rhythm of the world, the pattern behind the smiles, the danger hidden in plain sight. And once you feel that rhythm, once you notice the subtle signals, once you start seeing the traps before anyone else, your life begins to change. Awareness is the first step because without it, nothing else matters. Without it, courage is wasted, action is misdirected, survival is impossible. You can run blindly all you want, fight with heart and energy, scream into the void, but if you are not aware, the trap is always one step ahead. Awareness allows you to bend the rules, to anticipate the snap, to see the hidden wires and avoid them, to understand that the world is not what it seems, and that every comfort, every promise, every smile could be a snare. Comfort, such a tempting illusion. People crave it, chase it, wrap themselves in it like a warm, soft blanket, thinking that safety lies in ease, that danger lurks only in the unfamiliar, the chaotic, the unpredictable. But comfort is the perfect disguise. It hides the edges, it dulls the senses, it lulls the mind into believing everything is as it should be. The trap doesn't announce itself with flashing lights or alarms. No, it sits quietly behind the smiling faces, behind the familiar routine, behind the soft glow of everything is fine, waiting for the moment you let your guard down. People mistake comfort for safety. They convince themselves that ease equals protection, that the world cannot hurt them when they feel cozy, when everything seems familiar, when the routine is predictable. They ignore the subtle signs, the slight hesitation in a handshake, the pause in a conversation, the glimmer of something unusual in an ordinary situation. Comfort is a veil, a smokescreen, a lullaby that hides the claws beneath. And the trap, oh, the trap loves those who believe in comfort. It preys on them quietly, patiently, with precision. It's fascinating, really, how humans are willing to trade awareness for ease. They would rather close their eyes, avoid the questions, ignore the warnings, than step outside the boundaries of comfort. They assume that nothing can harm them as long as the world seems soft, predictable, controlled. But danger doesn't care about perception. Danger doesn't knock politely at the door of ease. Danger waits for the moment you settle in, the moment you stop questioning, the moment you believe you're untouchable. And then it strikes, often disguised as exactly what you thought was safe, exactly what you trusted, exactly what made you feel comfortable. Comfort is a liar. It whispers sweet nothings, tells you everything is fine, convinces you to slow down, to relax, to ignore the signs, and people fall for it again and again. They take the path that feels smooth, the relationship that feels easy, the job that feels secure, the routine that feels harmless, all the while ignoring the hidden cracks beneath their feet, the invisible snares, the quiet danger lurking just out of sight. The more comfortable they become, the less they notice. And when the trap closes, they are caught in disbelief, stunned that the thing they trusted most was the very thing that betrayed them. And isn't it ironic? People think danger comes dressed in chaos, in loud warnings, in dramatic threats. But most of the time, danger is subtle. It is quiet. It is soft. It sits in the familiar, the cozy, the reassuring. It smiles when you smile. It nods when you nod. It blends perfectly into your world until the moment you can't escape. The trap doesn't want you panicked. Panic makes you notice. Calmness, ease, comfort. That's what the trap wants. It's the invitation, the warm hand, the lullaby that lets it strike without resistance. Comfort dulls the senses, slows the reflexes, weakens the mind. It teaches you to trust appearances, to believe in what feels right, to ignore the subtle whispers of intuition, to dismiss the shadows in the corner of perception. People mistake that dulled awareness for safety. They mistake that softness for protection. But it's the opposite. Comfort creates vulnerability. Comfort hides the teeth of the trap beneath the velvet lining of what seems harmless, what seems inviting, what seems inevitable. And people, they cling to it. They seek it out. They fight to maintain it. They fear disruption. They fear change. They fear the sharp edges of reality poking through the warm, soft illusion of normalcy. But every trap relies on comfort. Every snare's success depends on the prey's trust in ease. The world doesn't hit the fearful or the cautious as often as it hits the complacent, those who rest in comfort, who close their eyes to the whispers, who believe the familiar is always safe, are the easiest to ensnare. Comfort is seductive. It sings to the soul. It lulls the heart. It blinds the mind. And the trap thrives on it. It's patient. It's quiet. It waits while you feel cozy, while you feel safe, while you believe the world cannot touch you. And then, in a blink, the illusion dissolves, and you are left face to face with the danger you never saw, because comfort convinced you it wasn't there, because comfort made you soft, because comfort made you blind. Warnings, they're everywhere, aren't they? Subtle, quiet, almost polite, if you listen closely. People hear them every day, but most choose to ignore them. They nod, they smile, they convince themselves it's nothing. I'll be fine, they say. It's just overthinking. But the world doesn't wait for approval. The traps, the dangers, the hidden snares, they don't care about your denial. Ignoring warnings is like walking toward a cliff while someone shouts, "Stop," and you cover your ears. You laugh at the voice, shrug it off, and think you are clever, untouchable, until gravity reminds you that denial doesn't work and the fall is merciless. People have this idea that lessons come gently, like soft taps on the shoulder. They think life will warn them one last time before disaster strikes. But the truth is far uglier. Life doesn't whisper twice. The harshest lessons come when the warnings have been ignored, when every hint, every flicker of doubt, every subtle signal has been brushed aside. The moment you choose ignorance over attention, the universe starts sharpening its knives, and the lesson hits. Fast, brutal, unavoidable. The kind of lesson that leaves a mark you can feel in your bones, the kind that changes you whether you like it or not. Humans are funny creatures. They trust patterns, assume repetition, believe in predictability. They ignore the tiny alerts, the small signs that scream, something's not right. They convince themselves the obvious is paranoia, that suspicion is weakness, that caution is overkill. And in doing so, they make the traps work, effortless. Warnings are the map, the light, the voice of reason. Ignoring them is like closing your eyes while the world spins toward chaos. And the chaos doesn't stop for anyone. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't send invitations. It strikes when you're least prepared, and the lesson arrives instantly, sharp, unforgettable, and devastating. It's a cruel irony, isn't it? People fear pain, failure, embarrassment, yet they disregard the signals that could have prevented all three. They ignore the subtle tremor in a friend's warning, the hesitation in a stranger's glance, the tiny signs that hint at deception, betrayal, danger. They think themselves clever, immune, untouchable. And yet, when the trap springs, when the danger arrives in full force, there is no immunity. There is only the harsh lesson they could have avoided, the consequences of ignoring every whisper of caution along the way. Warnings aren't just sounds or signs, they are tests. They measure attention, perception, and courage. They are the world's way of saying, open your eyes, pay attention, move wisely. Ignoring them is a decision, an active choice to gamble with fate. People underestimate that choice, underestimating how quickly the ignored warning becomes a wound, a scar, a lesson written in blood and regret. Every ignored signal is a step closer to confrontation, a step closer to realizing that lessons are fastest when they are unavoidable. And the beauty of warnings, in a twisted way, is that they're generous. They give a chance. They present an option. They allow those willing to listen, to watch, to act, to avoid the suffering. But humans, stubborn and self-assured, often choose arrogance over humility, ignorance over attention. And the trap, patient and cunning, waits. The warning fades into background noise. The voice is dismissed, the sign overlooked, and suddenly the safety net disappears. The warning was the only thing keeping the edge soft, ignored. It becomes the mirror reflecting the brutal reality. Every lesson ignored will be taught in the harshest way possible. People hate being warned. They hate the discomfort of knowing, the responsibility of seeing, the challenge of believing that something could go wrong. Warnings demand awareness. They demand vigilance. They demand courage. Most people prefer comfort, denial, the sweet lullaby of ignorance. But the universe doesn't reward ignorance. The universe doesn't apologize. Ignoring warnings is the surest path to pain, to regret, to lessons that carve themselves into memory with precision and cruelty. And yet, warnings are everywhere. In whispers, in glances, in intuition, in experience. They scream at those who are willing to notice, and they are ignored by those who are not. The harshest lessons are reserved for the blind, the arrogant, the foolish. And when they arrive with a clarity and force no soft advice could ever prepare you for. Ignoring warnings isn't just foolish, it's deadly. It guarantees that the lesson will be unforgettable, that the cost will be high, and that survival depends on learning what could have been avoided if only the eyes were open, if only the mind had listened, if only attention had been paid. Reality, it's a cruel joke, isn't it? People wake up every day believing they understand it, thinking they've seen it clearly, assuming what appears in front of them is the whole truth. But appearances lie. The surface is a mask. The familiar is often a trap. Reality is rarely what it seems. The world doesn't hand you clarity. It hands you illusions, carefully constructed, polished, seductive. People take them at face value, trusting the shape, the color, the texture, and they stumble headlong into deception, falling for the lies hidden in plain sight. People love simplicity. They crave certainty. They want the world to make sense. And because reality rarely fits neatly into their expectations, they ignore the subtle dissonances, the small inconsistencies, the faint whispers that suggest something is off. They convince themselves, it's fine, it's safe, it's normal, and they take each comfort as proof that nothing could possibly be wrong. But the world has a way of laughing at that trust, at that ignorance, at that willingness to believe in the harmless surface. And when reality shifts, when the mask falls, when the trap snaps shut, the lesson hits with a force that memory cannot forget. It's fascinating how people mistake familiarity for truth. They look at routine and call it stability. They look at smiles and call them honesty. They hear words and call them promises. But reality is not polite. Reality does not conform to expectations. Reality can twist, distort, conceal, and strike when least expected. And the moment you assume that what you see is all there is, that's the moment you're most vulnerable. The trap doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need fireworks. It hides in the familiar, in the ordinary, in the things you've been trained to trust. And when you step forward thinking everything is as it seems, it's already too late. People fear chaos, unpredictability, surprises. They cling to routine, to comfort, to the obvious. But the obvious is rarely harmless. The routine, the smile, the friendly gesture, these are all canvases for deception. The world constructs traps out of trust, disguises danger as normalcy, and waits for the perfect moment when belief has dulled your instincts. Reality is a cruel teacher, giving only fragments at first glance, and expecting you to connect them before the consequences arrive. Most people don't. Most people fail. Most people pay dearly for trusting the surface while ignoring the depth. And isn't it ironic? People are obsessed with proof, evidence, guarantees, yet the most important truths are hidden beneath appearances. The real danger, the real lessons, the real revelations are beneath the polish, behind the curtain, inside the cracks people refuse to see. If you accept reality at face value, you are dancing on a stage rigged with snares, believing every move is safe. The moment you notice the cracks, the inconsistencies, the shadows flickering in the corner, that's when you start to understand that what seemed real was a lie, and that what you thought you could trust was a carefully crafted illusion. Reality teaches patience, observation, and skepticism. It rewards the cautious, the attentive, the curious. It punishes the naive, the complacent, the unquestioning. Every misstep, every shock, every betrayal is a lesson in seeing beyond the surface, in questioning what you're told, in noticing what others ignore. People stumble because they assume truth is simple, when in fact, the most important truths are layered, hidden, disguised, and waiting for those brave enough or desperate enough to look deeper. People fear what is hidden. They fear complexity. They fear shadows. But shadows are where reality lives, where the subtle signs of danger, opportunity, and truth reside. If you ignore them, you will pay. If you dismiss them, you will fall. If you believe the first glance is all there is, you will be caught off guard. And the trap, the trap waits for exactly that. It loves those who take the world at face value, who trust the polished surface, who assume everything is as it seems. Reality is rarely kind, rarely fair, rarely simple. It's messy, deceptive, and relentless, and it will humble anyone foolish enough to believe otherwise. The clever, the aware, the patient, they see the layers. They notice the inconsistencies. They question the obvious. They survive because they understand that reality is a game of perception, a maze of appearances, a theater of illusions designed to confuse and trap the unwary. And the moment you see that truth, the moment you start peeling back the layers, that's when you gain power over the traps, when you start moving in ways others cannot anticipate, when you realize that the surface is only the beginning. And reality is far more dangerous, far more complex, far more revealing than anyone ever admits. Vigilance, it's a lonely game, isn't it? People don't like it. They avoid it. They think staying alert is exhausting, that watching closely is paranoid. that noticing the details is unnecessary. They wander through life thinking the obvious is all that matters, that the world cannot surprise them, that everything worth noticing will scream at them. But vigilance. Vigilance is the difference between being prey and being predator, between surviving and walking blind into a trap. It's noticing the flicker, the pause, the almost invisible signal that everyone else ignores. It's seeing the danger before it strikes, the opportunity before it vanishes, the truth before the lies swallow the world. Most people don't want vigilance. They want comfort. They want simplicity. They want the world to fit neatly into patterns they can understand. They would rather close their eyes and trust appearances than open them and face reality. But reality is ruthless. It rewards the sharp, the attentive, the restless, and it punishes the blind. Every missed detail, every ignored signal, every moment of inattention is a gift to the trap, a present for the unseen danger, an invitation for chaos to slip in unnoticed. Vigilance isn't polite. It isn't easy. It isn't for the faint-hearted. But it is the first defense against the subtle snares that most people stumble into without even realizing it. Think about it. People walk through life assuming the world is static, assuming patterns repeat, assuming nothing is out of place. They follow the same paths, trust the same people, accept the same explanations, and they never notice the cracks forming underfoot. And the trap doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to signal. It hides in the blind spots, in the pauses, in the gaps everyone else overlooks. The moment you stop watching, the moment you relax, the moment you take your eyes off the shadows, the trap moves. And vigilance is what keeps you alive, what keeps you one step ahead, what lets you see the world as it really is, rather than as you wish it were. Vigilance is more than noticing danger. It's noticing everything that everyone else ignores, the subtle glances, the hesitation, the inconsistencies, the patterns that don't quite add up. It's the ability to see the world in layers, to understand that the surface is never the full story, to anticipate what others cannot. And oh, most people don't do this. They sleepwalk, they trust, they hope, they assume safety is obvious, and every single time, the trap finds them, waiting, patient, cunning, unseen, until it's too late. The thing about vigilance is that it teaches patience and ruthlessness at the same time. You watch, you wait, you analyze, and when the moment comes, you act. People who are inattentive act too soon, too late, or not at all. They follow blindly. They react slowly. They hesitate when the world demands decisiveness. Vigilance gives clarity, focus, anticipation. It shows what is truly important, what is truly dangerous, what is truly opportunity, while others are distracted by the trivial, by appearances, by comfort. The vigilant see the hidden truth, the invisible snare, the quiet pattern that will decide survival or destruction. And the irony is delicious. People mock the vigilant. They call them paranoid, obsessive, overthinking. They fail to see that the very thing they ignore, the hidden threat, the subtle deceit, the small signals, is what will undo them. While they laugh, the trap sharpens its teeth. While they rest, the vigilant notice every detail, every subtle movement, every sign that the world is not as it seems. Vigilance is a kind of awareness others cannot understand, a rhythm of perception that turns chaos into clarity, deception into transparency, danger into foresight. Vigilance is exhausting, relentless, and often thankless. It demands attention to everything that others would dismiss. It forces constant questioning, constant observing, constant preparation. And yet, without it, you are blind. You are prey. You are a puppet for the traps that the world lays out for the inattentive. People assume the world is fair, predictable, kind. Vigilance proves otherwise. It exposes the cracks, the hidden snare, the chaos behind the curtain. And once you see it, once you truly notice, your eyes open to what others overlook. Your mind sharpens. Your steps become deliberate. Your choices deadly precise. Those who are vigilant survive. Those who are not stumble. Those who watch notice patterns, anticipate movements, understand the danger lurking in the shadows, while the rest are caught by surprise, taught harsh lessons by the world they refuse to see. Vigilance reveals the invisible, exposes the subtle, uncovers the hidden, and it rewards those willing to pay the price of constant attention, constant awareness, constant readiness. Because only the vigilant are ever truly free from the traps others fall into blindly. Timing. It's the cruelest joke of all. People think they can act whenever they like, that moments will wait for them, that the world bends to their convenience. But the world doesn't care. The world doesn't pause. The moments that matter, the opportunities that can save you or destroy you, the traps that wait silently, all of them operate on a clock that ignores your plans, your excuses, your hesitation. Timing is everything, and those who misread it, who delay, who hesitate, who wait too long, they pay the highest price. Perception is the other half of the game. Seeing what others cannot see, noticing what is hidden beneath the surface, understanding the rhythm of chaos. While the world believes it's calm, this is the skill that separates the prey from the predator. Most people think perception is simple. They look at what is obvious, what is presented, what is easy to understand. But reality hides its teeth behind layers, behind distractions, behind false signals. And only those who perceive the subtle, the faint, the quiet cues can survive. Timing without perception is useless. Perception without timing is wasted. Together, they are deadly. People walk through life blind to the rhythm of events. They assume there is always more time. They assume danger will announce itself. They assume opportunities will wait until they are ready. And every single time, the trap laughs, because the moment isn't just about acting, it's about acting at the right time. Too soon, and you stumble. Too late, and you fail. Hesitate even a heartbeat too long, and the world will teach you lessons you cannot forget. Timing is a knife, precise, merciless, and once the moment passes, there is no undoing it. Perception is like a flashlight in darkness. Except most people refuse to turn it on. They ignore the shadows, dismiss the whispers, overlook the signals that scream warning in silence. And yet, the shadows hold everything, the hidden danger, the subtle opportunity, the truth behind the illusion. Those who perceive, who notice, who pay attention, they have a chance. Those who don't, they stumble, they fall. They are consumed by the traps they failed to see. Timing and perception, together, are the difference between survival and being swallowed by the unexpected. And isn't it ironic? People are obsessed with speed, with acting first, with being quick, yet they fail to notice that speed without understanding is worthless. They rush into situations thinking momentum protects them, thinking haste equals safety. Thinking action is all that matters, but timing is not speed. Timing is rhythm, anticipation, knowing when to step and when to pause, knowing when to strike and when to retreat. Perception guides timing, and timing defines survival. One without the other is fatal. Most people don't realize that the world's traps are patient, cunning, and precise. They wait for the blink, the hesitation, the misstep. They observe the rhythm of inattention and exploit it. A single misjudged moment, a single failure to notice the subtle, and the consequences are immediate and irreversible. Timing is the measure of your awareness. Perception is the lens that focuses it. Together, they are survival's currency, and everything else is just noise. Timing teaches cruelty. Timing punishes delay. Timing rewards precision. Every heartbeat, every glance, every decision matters because the difference between survival and destruction is often measured in seconds. Perception sharpens that measurement, allowing you to see the invisible, anticipate the unseen, and react with deadly exactness. Most people never notice the cues, never read the signs, never realize that the rhythm of life is not gentle, not forgiving, and certainly not infinite. And the world, oh, the world doesn't slow down for anyone. It doesn't rewind. It doesn't pause while you collect courage, gather information, or convince yourself you're ready. The moments you miss are gone forever. The opportunities that slip through your fingers, the traps you fail to notice, the mistakes that could have been avoided, all are carved into your future, shaping what you are and what you will become. Timing and perception aren't skills. They are survival itself, and those who fail to master them are already casualties of the world they refuse to see clearly. Timing and perception are intertwined, like predators and prey, like the hunter and the hunted. One sees, the other strikes. One anticipates, the other executes. One misses, the other survives. Life is a series of hidden beats, invisible signals, fleeting chances, and only those who are awake, aware, and ready can navigate the rhythm without being crushed by it. The rest stumble in darkness, caught by traps that were always in plain sight, revealed only to those who were willing to notice and act before the moment vanished.